Welcome back, bookworms. The Monogram Murders by Sophie Hannah is a new book. However, it's kind of like a continuation of Agatha Christie's book starring Hercule Poirot. In case those names mean nothing to you, Agatha Christie is one of the most famous detective thriller authors ever, and one of her most famous detective characters is Hercule Poirot, the Belgian detective. I'm sorry, I just have to do the accent every time I'm talking about him. I'll stop right now, that's it. So he's a Belgian detective, he's very arrogant, he has a very big mustache, he always thinks he's the most clever person in the room. Most of the times, he is right. But nonetheless, he makes sure that everyone will know that, and he is my favorite character of her. Now, Agatha Christie has been dead for, 30 years? Something like that. This is kind of like a fan fiction of her. When I first saw this book on a shelf in a bookshop, I was skeptical, excited for the chance to read another Poirot mystery, but nonetheless skeptical. I think that I was just annoyed with this fashion of taking creations by dead people and continuing them. They did this with Douglas Adams, they did it with Stieg Larsson, and now they're doing it with Agatha Christie. And not only in books, they do it in movies, they do it in music. It seems that people have lost their imagination and their ability to work their little gray cells and create something new, and that personally really, it annoys me, it bugs me, so that's why I was very skeptical about this book. However, now that I've read it, I can tell you that it does do justice to the original. It's not as good as Agatha Christie's book, let's face it, but it's not a bad book, it's pretty good, and I've enjoyed it greatly. And now I will share with you my thoughts, my complaints, my good points, my bad points, and I do have some bad points, but overall I really enjoyed it. I will say to the great, big, obsessive Hercule Poirot fans out there that this time he doesn't solve the mystery with the help of Hastings, his usual Dr. Watson, but this time he's been assisted by a young police officer named Catchpole. That is because this all happens while Poirot is on vacation a few streets away from his home. Don't ask. I will start with the good things first. This is a good detective book. It's thrilling, it's complex, it's not obvious, it makes you think, it makes you walk the little gray cells. This is Poirot for make you think. It managed to surprise me. It's very Agatha Christie-ish. The characters, the setting, the general atmosphere. It's been done really in her style. Also, it managed to create what I like to call the Agatha Christie effect. At the ending, there is a scene where Poirot is gathering everyone who's related to the case, and he pretty much explains everything to them. Who murdered who and why, and how everything was done to tie up all the loose ends and everything. And in Agatha Christie's books, every time this happens, I get all shivery and I get all goosebumps from thrills and excitement, and that's what I call the Agatha Christie effect. And it happened in this book. There were some such a surprising revelation that I was literally left with my mouth wide open in shock. That's obviously a good thing in a thriller. It was very surprising, and I generally do recommend this book to anyone who loves classic style detective books, whether they are Agatha Christie fans or not. Now let's get to my complaints, and it might look like I have tons, but just remember that overall I did like this book. However, first complaint. I said before that it was complex in a good way, but also I felt toward the ending as if it was too complex. There were layers, too many layers of truth and lie. You have this layer where you think you know what happened, or a character tells his or her story and then apparently they were lying. But some of this story was true, but it didn't happen to that character, it happened to another character, and it was too complex in my opinion, especially when I'm trying to compare it to other Agatha Christie books or other thrillers or detective books that I've read recently. Also, it might be me, and it might be my fault and I wasn't paying 100% attention, but it seems as if they were tiny little bits of loose ends, nothing too major, nothing that will make you lose sleep over it because of the suspense. The mystery is being solved, you know who murdered who and why and how and everything, but the tiny little details that weren't completely solved. It seems that Poirot in the Monogram murders was more annoying than he is in Agatha Christie's book. He's always arrogant, he's always full of himself, but it's kind of funny and harmless. But in here he was so mean to Catchpole. He kept calling him stupid. He kept referring to himself as a third person. He kept referring to himself as Hercule Poirot, and that was so annoying. He does that in Agatha Christie's book as well, but in this time it was all the time. It was so annoying. Another thing is that the Monogram murders obviously took a lot from another very famous Agatha Christie book. It was all over the place. I recognize it time and time again, and it was a little too much. It's in first person, as I mentioned, Catchpole's point of view. And there are times where he writes things that happen to other characters, like Poirot went to the coffee shop without my knowledge. It's still first person, my knowledge, his point of view, fine. But then he writes something in like in Poirot's mind, like what he thought. And every time I read it, it just didn't feel right, and it really bothered me. You know, either you do first person and then you tell of what other people have done and it should be obvious to the reader that it simply told you later. Either that or you write in third person. This combination just really bothered me. But even though it seems like I have tons of complaints, overall it is a very good book. I did really enjoy it. I loved this Agatha Christie, the classic 30s style detective book. I really did enjoy it. Part of me really does not understand, why do you need to take an already existing character and rewrite it and use it again? Why not just change things a little bit and create your own story? But you know what? She did it, and at least if she'd done an Agatha Christie style story, she did it well, and the story was good. And I have a feeling we're going to see other of these because they always come in series. And I just hope the next one will be as good as this one. Who knows, maybe next time she won't do Hercule Poirot, she'll do Miss Marple. But I hope not, because I cannot stand her. So that's it for today, you guys. I want to know which character of detective was your favorite. It doesn't have to be detective by definition or by profession, just any kind of character who solved a mystery. I told you mine, I want to know about yours. So like this video, comment about your favorite detective, subscribe if you dare, and we shall meet again once more in the next review. Bye bye!